A couple of big storm systems are coming across the United States, bringing widespread heavy rain, some snow, and windy conditions over the next few days. We're going to time these storms out and give you a diagnosis on what you can expect as we go through the new week. We're also going to be looking at the polar vortex because a polar vortex disruption event is likely heading into late November, and this could impact our weather pattern as we go into the new month of December. So welcome back, everybody, on this Saturday, November the 15th, 2025. Hope everybody's having a wonderful start to their weekend out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because we cover Canada and the United States and also the tropics during tropical weather season. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. The more likes we get, the more people who watch my videos also share it and also hype the video. I definitely appreciate that as well. So getting into the forecast, let's zoom out the picture and show you the big picture lens, if you will, of the weather forecast. We got a big ridge of high pressure extending from the continental divide of the Rockies all the way down to the Gulf Coast, and that is promising some warmer air for this weekend. The trough over here into the Northeast that we saw with our recent cold spell is still hanging on to areas of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and New York, and those areas are going to be colder this weekend. And then we look at our new storm coming in across California. That storm will be kicking up a lot of moisture for areas of the Sacramento Valley and even down here into Southern California in the coming days. So let's look at our temperatures because another record breaker of a weekend it will be as we have more 80s and 90s ticketed for areas of Texas, Oklahoma, eastward into Arkansas, even a record as far north as Rockford, Illinois, up to 70 degrees this afternoon. And then as we go into tomorrow, 70 in Rockford, 49 in Rockford tomorrow afternoon. So a change of seasons there, but we're still looking at 50-year-old records being broken across South Central Texas heading into your Sunday, November the 16th, with more of those upper 80s to low 90 variety temperatures. Now, looking here at the big picture as far as the weather pattern is concerned this weekend, we have two storms we're watching, one coming from Canada, dropping southeast here across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast, another much stronger one bringing a lot of East Pacific moisture inland across central and southern California, and these storms are both going to be impacting the either side of the country this weekend. There's the one in California bringing some very heavy rainfall for Sacramento, down the coast to Los Angeles and San Diego, where we could be seeing several inches of rainfall heading through the next 24 to 36 hours. Heavy mountain snow there in the Sierra Mountain Range. And then we look at that storm across the Northeast and New England. New England is likely to see some rain-snow mix or a changeover to snow. I think coastal areas along the I-95 corridor, including Boston, Hartford, and New York City and Long Island, will likely see all liquid precipitation with the rainfall out there as we head through the weekend. Maybe some flurries in Boston, New York City as we go into Monday morning. But I think the leftover of that will just be simply just flurries, right? I don't think we're going to see accumulating snow. So overall here for the weekend, taking you through 7 a.m. on Monday, November 17th, hefty rainfall totals are expected for California, and some of that rainfall could be coming down at a pretty good clip for big areas of Los Angeles, right? A lot of pavement there, so a lot of runoff of the water here with the pavement. So flooding concerns are there for Los Angeles, including the downtown area over here towards San Diego, Fresno, San Bernardino, all the way up here into Sacramento, Santa Clarita, and Santa Cruz. These areas could be seeing quite a bit of rainfall on the order of 2 to 4 inches through your Monday morning. Now, looking at snowfall, it looks like we could see some decent snows across the Sierra Mountains, the watershed out west getting replenished with over a foot of snow expected there through Monday morning. A little bit of snow for the Rockies, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado, especially outside Salt Lake City and right outside Denver. And then we pick back up with the snow here with the mini system up into the New England region. Maine, northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, and upstate New York, western New York, we could see an inch or two of snow. A lot of this will be on grassy surfaces through your Monday morning commute. Wind will be a big issue across portions of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, with that system coming down from the south, from the northwest, from Canada, dropping southeast. We could be seeing wind gusts over 40 miles per hour, so definitely want to hang on to your hats as we get through the weekend. Quieter weather with the wind in the plains, and then we start to pick that wind wind back up across the desert Southwest for the weekend with that bigger storm system coming into California. Now, going through next week, we're going to see that ridge still remain established across the central eastern U.S. for the majority of next week. But here comes a trough, and it's going to take time to dig south and eject eastward toward the Mississippi River. But this trough actually could be quite significant, because whenever you see a ridge in the east and a trough in the west, that signals a large-scale storm system. And I do believe that's what we will see across the central U.S. as we go into later this upcoming week. So as we go through Monday, a lot of that energy is traversing across the Continental Divide, the Rockies. We're going to see some moisture here into the Midwest Ohio Valley. This is really kind of just a weak disturbance. So some rain showers, maybe some snow flurries for the Midwest Ohio Valley early this week. And then as we go into the middle of the week, here comes that system across Colorado, and we're going to be kicking up that moisture from the Gulf northward into the southern plains and the lower Mississippi Valley by Wednesday. Thursday, we could be seeing a more formidable low-pressure center here into the Ozarks of Missouri, down under 1,000 millibars at 999 millibars. We got a cold front attached to that with the warm front near the Ohio River. South of the warm front, so areas near Tennessee, into portions of Arkansas, East Texas, Louisiana could see some severe weather on Thursday, and then that system deepens rapidly to a 990 millibar as it crosses basically from Joplin, Missouri to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and anywhere south of Lake Michigan could see some severe weather as we go into Thursday night and Friday, with colder rains expected into the upper Midwest regions as we go towards next weekend. Looking at the setup for severe weather, that's going to have plenty of moisture feed from the Gulf as it pushes northward into late next week, Thursday, and even into Friday. Dew points are going to be rising well into the 50s and low 60s, and that will yield some moderate levels of instability. Wherever you start seeing these brighter greens, yellows, and oranges, that's over 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability there for Wednesday into Texas and Oklahoma. And then as we go into Thursday, instability winds down a little bit, but actually pushes all the way up into the Midwest. So thunderstorms could be possible as far north as Des Moines, Milwaukee, Chicago, and Indianapolis going into Thursday and Thursday night. And then Friday, I think the instability is getting pinched off as that system moves further to the east. But the dynamics also in the wind shear category will be there. The trough is going to be kicking out across the southern plains, and it's going to have some wind energy with it. Now, the trough geometry is not consistent with a tornado outbreak sequence, but I do feel there still could be some tornadoes with this across the deep south. So make sure that you have plenty of warning ahead of this. We're giving you the warning now several days ahead of time, saying that you need to watch as we go into middle and late portion of this week for severe weather. So as we go into Monday, Tuesday, a couple thunderstorms can't be ruled out, but I think it's really Wednesday afternoon where we start to see some supercells developing from Oklahoma southward into Texas. This includes big cities, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, down to Dallas and Waco. And then as we go into Thursday, that pushes eastward into more big cities, Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Shreveport, Monroe, Baton Rouge, and even eastward toward New Orleans, including the Houston area too. So make sure you have multiple ways to receive severe weather watches and warnings as we go throughout the week. We'll keep you updated. And yeah, in addition to the severe weather threat, we have very heavy rainfall, widespread too, from the Great Lakes all the way to the Gulf Coast. Further south you go down here into East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and West Tennessee. That's where the heaviest of rainfall should be, and we could be seeing rainfall amounts between 4 and 8 inches in these areas as we head through next week. So a very wet week is in store. The snowfall is going to be out west. So the Rockies, the Cascades, the Sierras, or southeastern Canada, that's where the colder air resides. That's where the snowfall will be as we go through next week. Now let's look at our temperatures, because it will be a mild start to the week. Like we mentioned, with all this mild air, that's where the severe weather is going to be coming from. With the clash of the air masses, we're finally going to get back closer to normal, I think, in the central U.S. once we head towards a week from today, next weekend, and that is where our temperatures are finally going to feel maybe more like November standards across the U.S. But nonetheless, it's going to be a warm stretch of weather the next 5 days into next week, Monday, November 17th through Friday, November 21st, looking at some record-breaking heat across portions of especially Texas down here, where 50-year-old temperature records could be broken as early week. Now let's take you up to the stratosphere, about 20 miles above where we live, and this is important to look at when we look at winter forecasting and when we look at the new month of December, because the polar vortex can actually drive the weather pattern for an entire month or more, because it is a big deal when it comes to weather across the globe, not here just locally, because it actually impacts how cold our temperatures could be. And if we see a lot of snowfall or a lot of rainfall and all that stuff, there is going to likely be a sudden stratospheric warming event taking place in late November. And this is likely to impact December's weather forecast for the majority of the month. And I do feel we're going to feel the effects of that. It's about a 2 to 3 week lag from when that sudden stratospheric warming event or that polar vortex disruption event does occur, and that's when we start to see the colder air where we live down in the troposphere. Remember, 20 miles north, that's the stratosphere. On the surface of the earth where we live is the troposphere, so it takes some time to get down to the surface of the earth. So as we go into late November, we may start to feel the effects of the colder air from the polar vortex disruption across the western third of the country, and it's still pretty mild to the east, and that could result in a bigger scale storm system sometime late November and early December with this temperature gradient. And then we start to see the colder air oozing eastward. It's going to take some time, but I think by the second week of December, that colder air comes around and it stays with us. It has a lot of staying power, potentially even through the Christmas holiday. So that it could be one of the coldest Decembers that we've had in years. And notice it has some support where we have some colder air coming down. This one's a little bit later. This one actually has it delayed until Christmas. So if you're hoping for a white Christmas, this is exactly what you're looking for as we go into late December. That is for sure. Overall, looking at snowfall over the next month or so, I think the snowfall process is going to begin to slowly move further south. We've had a lot of snow in Canada. We've had a lot of snow out west. I think we're going to start to see that snow line trickling further south and south as we go later into the month here of November. And then especially once that colder air arrives, we have storms to move through that flow. I think we could start to see snowstorms, even blizzards becoming a problem across the lower 48 as we go through the month of December. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the weather forecast. If you found it informative, detailed, or life-saving in any way, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. The more likes, the better the views we can get on the video, the more people we can warn about the severe weather, about the polar vortex disruption, and much more here on the channel. Share it and also hype the video. Definitely appreciate that as well. Thank you all for watching. That's all the weather talk I have for you today, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Saturday out there.